Now joining me on the Peerless Boilers Hotline, Peerless builds America's best boilers, longtime New York Ranger goaltender, also played with Martin Brodeur for 2 years in New Jersey. And let's also not forget, he led those Florida Panthers to a Stanley Cup Finals many years ago. That is the great number 34, former Vezina Trophy winner, John Vanbiesbrouck. John, Zach Gelb here, DARPATV.com in New York. Thank you for joining me, and how are you?
Zach, good to be with you. It's nice to talk hockey.
Yeah, it's a great time of the year. The Rangers are hosting the New Jersey Devils tonight, Game 2 at MSG. The Rangers won that first game 3-0, and I wasn't alive when you went up against the great Patrick Waugh in those Eastern Conference Finals, and I was a little toddler when you went up against Waugh again in those Stanley Cup Finals, but I did see some tapes. They were great rivalries, although the series wore short between you and the great Patrick Waugh. When you were watching the other night, Hank and Marty go at it, did it a little bit remind you of those days back to the Eastern Conference Finals and the Stanley Cup?
Well, it's been a long time, and now that you've dated me, you make me sound so old, Scott. You know, like you were a little guy.
well, John, let me just tell you this. You're only 8 years older than Marty. You could probably still put on those skates and play.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but, you know, it is not surprising to see the competition levels and a bit of a rivalry in goal, you know, in both series, really, because Smith and Quick in the other series are, you know, two of the top guys in the West, and now two of the top guys in the East. Brodeur, who's, you know, really a living legend to all us goalie aficionados, and then Henrik Lundqvist, who, you know, everybody's been waiting to pop it in the playoffs, and it's a great series. It's, you know, it's two really great West and Eastern Conference series going on that people are wondering, you know, who's going to play against who. But when it comes down to the goaltending, you see how important it really is.
When Hank was sitting in the net and after the game, he was talking about when he stands in the net and he plays Martin Brodeur and he looks across the ice, he knows that he has to bring his best game. He has to elevate his game. When you were going up against Patrick, did you kind of feel that you have to bring a little more to the table going up against such a great goaltender?
Well, I'll tell you, you're asked a lot of the similar questions. You know, do you look down the ice and are you playing against each other? And I used to answer the question, no, but you can't help yourself but to look down and watch, you know, saves being made. I remember in the Garden when Patrick, you know, in 1986, to be honest with you, he was a rookie that really popped in the playoffs, and when he had a 45-save performance in the Garden, we outplayed Montreal pretty badly. And then Claude Lemieux scored an overtime goal that won it for Montreal. And Patrick was, you know, basically stealing the show. He robbed Thomas Sandstrom. And I can name names from the olden days, if you want to call it that, of great rivalries. But Patrick and myself, we had some good, hot, heated battles, and it was fun time. You look back on them now and you savor those times, and they were fun.
Brodeur played a good game. He had that incredible save where he robbed Mark Stahl. But, you know, that must have been a tough one for Marty to lose because he played so much better. The Devils, they played so much better in those first two periods. Do you say something to your teammates when, you know, they get no goals after that game, or is it just we got to go get the next one?
Well, you can't really do much about that as a goalie. You know, I mean, Marty plays the puck so well, too. You could see him kind of getting anxious as he wanted to play the puck up to his guys and get moving going the other way. But, you know, I mean, outplaying a team for two periods doesn't really get you too far. It gets you, you know, maybe a little bit of confidence. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like making a 35-foot putt in golf, you know, and then the guy's hitting it in there on you every time, but you make that 35-footer, and it was, you know, like what Tiger used to do. He used to build mental confidence off that, and I believe that's what the Rangers are doing with Henrik Lundqvist right now. I think that they have so much confidence that if they don't block a shot, you know, he's going to make the save. But I would say that at this time, you know, in the playoffs and at this time in hockey, blocking shots, I've never seen anything like it.
Do you have a problem with Martin Brodeur said? He said that maybe, I was a little tongue-in-cheek, and I think he was kidding a little bit, but he said, hey, maybe we go out there, we hit them a little harder when they go out there and they block those shots. Do you have any problem with what Martin Brodeur said?
No, I think he's well intended. Like if they want to block a shot, maybe they should, take one off the chin. And then I don't think that he's mincing any words. I just, he's making suggestions. They're not ill-intentioned, and I know they may come off that way, but he's basically saying, make them pay a higher price if they're going to get in the lanes and try to block shots, because not only is the top guy blocking shots, but the depth guy's blocking shots, and that's going to be the ultimate frustrating lever for New Jersey. In their series previously, they've got all their shots through. They were able to execute on the power play and all the rest, but they're getting a dose of their own medicine, really. I mean, their penalty killing has been so good, with the exception of playing against the Panthers, but for the most part, they block shots and they frustrate other teams, and then they score goals. And I think that the Rangers are giving them a dose of their own medicine.
We're talking to John Vanbiesbrouck and Beezer. Peter DeBoer, they lost a tough game after Game 1. They have Game 2 tonight. If you were the coach of this Devils team, what would your message be 30 minutes before the game to get your boys going?
Well, you know what? I think that the message is consistent, throughout the whole playoffs, and they've been very level-headed. But what I would try to tell them is, let's stay out of the stupid stuff. It seems like they want to engage in some silly after the whistle type of stuff, and everybody was talking fighting, and everybody was talking all these things going into this series. But I don't know if that plays into their hands. I think that they need, David Clarkson to score goals like he scored 30 this year, and not get mixed into the silly stuff. Not to say that he has. I think they've been fairly disciplined, but you don't want to allow the other team to have a 2-minute advantage, not only from the sense, can they score goals, it's just time without the puck and time playing defense. You can see when it gets into the tournament-type play now that they're in, you just can't waste minutes. They're so valuable. So if you get down a goal in a series, goals become so hard to get that you can see that you're just basically pulling time off the clock. So I would have to say, if I were the coach 30 minutes, we got to exercise the best discipline and be the most disciplined team that we can be. We have to suck it up. We have to take a glove to the face, a face wash, and don't get frustrated, because that's what's going to keep us on our game.
You look at the Rangers, and in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals so far, the Stanley Cup playoffs, I should say, they've been 3-0. They beat Washington, they beat Ottawa, and they took care of the Devils the other night, 3-0. But then when it comes around to Game 2, they have been 0-2. Do you think this Rangers team will come out on the ice tonight, try to look to prove something, prove their doubters wrong, that they can win 2 in a row?
Well, I think they're gonna try to play to their strengths, and that is, using the face-offs where they've been so dominant and they've been winning a lot of draws, and then off the face-offs trying to take, puck possession and control of the game by just wearing out the Devils, not letting Kovalchuk have too many scoring chances. He had a few in the first game, but, the Devils did, when they get loose, they can really create a lot of 2-on-1. They have to bottle up Zach Parise. They got to keep Kovalchuk, in check. But for the most part, I think that we're starting to see, their young defense emerge in front of our eyes. Even when, Girardi, had a couple bad periods, he came through and scored a big goal, and those are the types of things that lift teams, when you can actually, get through to the other side by having a couple, mistakes not bother you too bad, and then you contribute. So I would just say, they got to stick to that kind of gameplay.
No doubt about it. These defensemen have been great for the Rangers. You look at what Ryan McDonagh did the other night in the second period. He stopped 2 breakaways that possibly could have led to a goal if he didn't get his stick in there. Even in those games 6 and 7 up against the Ottawa Senators going back to the first round, Mark Stahl had a big goal. Daniel Girardi had a big goal. Strawman has been good on the power play. But the most impressive thing to me is the Rangers are really only playing 5 defensemen, John. You look at Stu Bickel, their 6th defender. He only's been averaging about 5 minutes of ice time. That's impressive.
Yeah, and, I think that the other thing that you're alluding to here, Zach, is the fact that John Tortorella is doing a wonderful job managing his bench. And he's doing a wonderful job managing his bench. He's doing a wonderful job of engaging all of his players, even when they just need to give you 6 or 7 minutes. Not everybody is going to log that, big ice time that Delzato and McDonagh and Girardi and those guys back there are doing. If you can get 5 or 6 quality, 7 quality minutes, out of Bickle and other players like that, that's what's going to bring it home for you.
Is there a concern as a coach? You know, you have such young defenders, Michael Delzato, Ryan McDonough, Daniel Girardi. As we get later into this series, and if this team does win the series and get to a Stanley Cup Finals, does experience, the lack of it here, does that concern you as a former hockey player looking at this current group?
No, not at all. I don't think so. I think that they're battle tested. You know, I mean, experience can sometimes be your best asset, for sure, but it also can be a stumbling block when players have a way of giving up a little bit too easy if they think that they're going to, cheat or take the easy way out. And I'm not saying anything disrespectful to any of the players, at all, but I'm going to say this about this young defense corps is you're seeing them emerge, and they're probably, I didn't even mention Mark Stahl. I mean, they're right now showing they're battle tested and ready. I mean, they're going to make some mistakes and flip pucks, and make turnovers, and that's going to happen. Like Girardi did. He made a couple flat-footed plays. He got burnt. The other guy, McDonough, made up for him. That's what it's made. That's what the game is made up of. It's not the flipping the tokens over and everybody, the glaring giveaway. Well, there's a lot of glaring giveaways last year when Boston won, but their young defensemen pulled through for them and that actually helped them win the Stanley Cup, and they became household names.
Zach Gelb here on DARPATV.com talking to John Vanbiesbrouck on the Peerless Boilers hotline. Peerless builds America's best boilers as we get ready for tonight. Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils at the world's most famous arena. And staying on these young players, Chris Kreider on the offensive front. He was at BC just a few weeks ago, winning the Frozen Four in the college ranks. Then he gets right to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he's had 3 goals. It's really remarkable what number 20 has been doing with the New York Rangers.
Well, he's got a lot of confidence right now, and I think that Tortorella, there's another classic case of how he's used his bench well, and he got an asset, into the playoffs, which was not recognized by the NHL world as a guy that could come in and make a contribution, but it shows why, BC is the class school that they are and why they win championships. And, Kreider, to his credit, is not only a gifted player, but he's a smart player, and he has speed. And you know what? I mean, all you can ask of a player like Kreider is to make small contributions. And, when he chips in with a goal and it becomes a game winner, obviously you're going to get a lot of accolades. But Kreider, he's not been used in, big minute time. He's been used wisely, I would say, by John, in the way of allowing him to, contribute as he has. He's not put in defensive roles where a lot of young guys come in and have to do it. I mean, he's been put in a role where he can't succeed.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because the Rangers, he scored on a power play goal. That was their 4th power play of the game, and up until that point, they weren't able to get any success going on the power play, and that's been a constant theme for this Rangers team throughout the majority of the playoffs, that their power play has been very inconsistent. What they did on that 4th power play, how can they implement that to the other power plays going forward tonight?
Well, I mean, the power play is a finicky thing. It really is. I mean, it can be your best weapon, and it's a man advantage, but it could also be your worst nightmare, as we saw in the Vancouver series when LA beat them and scored 2 or 3 shorthanded goals and, knocked the snot right out of them because Anze Kopitar or somebody like that picks off the puck, goes in and scores. I mean, the advantage on the power play is, when you really get it going, you got to make good on it. But the hardest part of it is outworking the other team. The penalty killers and blocking shots and the sacrifice that you see out there is at a major, major level. It rises up to an intense pace. Well, you see on the power plays that, the intensity of the power play, the guys pass the puck so many times, they end up overpassing because there's not a shooting lane. You got to get it back. You got to get it back to its simplest form. Roger Nielsen used to say it all gets set up from the middle. You need to get that middle shot, and then everything will happen after that. And I'm not saying that's what they have to do is go back to 1980s type of power plays. But what I am saying is that there's one thing that has to be a key to your power play, and you need to get to it.
And I also think it starts with Brad Richards. When Richards has been on the ice for this power play, the Rangers have been able to produce goals, and it's winning faceoffs. It's the simple stuff. But how many times during the course of this playoffs have we seen the Rangers get more opportunities on their own power play killed compared to their own power play?
Well, the reason that happens is because they win a lot of battles for loose pucks, and they're speedy. And they really do a good job of body position. They get good body position on the defenders of this series so far. I know it's only one game deep, but they're getting good position on the defenders of the Devils. Body position means everything on drawing penalties. If you have good body position, if you win the battles for the pucks, that's what you hear announcers say, oh, they're winning the battles. Well, what does that actually mean? It means body position. It means the guy's got to poke you, stick you, slash you, elbow you in order to get the puck back. And so body position is where it happens. And right now, I mean, in most of the series and games that the Rangers have played in, they've had great body position, and that's given them an advantage.
We're talking to Beezer, and Beezer, final one here right before we let you run. Parise and Kovalchuk, they got so many shots in Game 1. You even saw a look on Ilya Kovalchuk's face basically saying, what the hell do I have to do to get the puck past number 30 and Henrik Lundqvist? The only way during the course of these playoffs that I've noticed from Lundqvist where he is vulnerable is up high past those shoulders. Do you think we'll see a little bit more of up high shots tonight from Parise or Kovalchuk, or will they keep just swinging at it like they were doing in Game 1?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the secret sauce to beating Henrik Lundqvist. I mean, I'm sure that they're grinding over what to do. I'm sure Ilya Kovalchuk right now this afternoon, as he gets up from his rest, is going to be trying to visualize how he can use that position where he shoots from his off wing, where it's his wheelhouse type of shot. But he might have to make some adjustments, go a little deeper. I believe the more that they can get at wider angles in behind Lundqvist is where, a guy like Parise or Kovalchuk will have an advantage. And they'll have the advantage because right now Lundqvist is got a beat on some of the trigger areas, and that's what he's visualizing. But it's like a pitcher in baseball, right? You got to be able to read where the zone is that he's going to go with his bread and butter pitch. And right now, he's just, he being Lundqvist is just reading play so well.
Beezer, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it. Enjoy the games tonight, and let's get you on again real soon, my man. I appreciate it.
All right. Good to be with you, Zach.